So this is what failure looks like right here. Uh, it's my pleasure to be with you, but I have been destroyed and I am whacked out. And in prison, they called it shot out when somebody was wild or insane. Man, he's shot out. Or, man, you're shot out, to tell you that they don't want to listen to you. And out of prison, you should be happy, especially if you're in a pretty good situation. But my baby's not. She's not in a situation where I get to see her. So everything sucks. This is failure. It's an absolute abdication of decency, what has happened. And I blame myself in part. I want to talk about that, how I've been the architect of my own destruction. And I think there were two major things that, first off, nobody can ever be to blame for your life. You need to take responsibility for your life and understand if you get destroyed like I did and am, then it's your fault. You need to change and figure out something better. And so I want to talk about the ways that I have changed and the lessons I have learned, but understand this with humility. I'm not better than anyone else. I do think I have policy ideas that are better than other people. I do think I have definitions for certain words that are better than other people's, but those things are all in the argument. Those are all things that you have to talk about specifically, and it has nothing to do with your character and what you are as a person. And what you are is either pretty much a good or an evil person. And even at my most evil times, I primarily thought of myself as a good guy. And that played against me every time I went to jail or every time I encountered the gossip circle on YouTube. Look, I'm Trumpian. And so I remember these things and I hold grudges. They absolutely were not fair to me. They were there mocking me and making fun of my quixotic quest, which is so bizarre. Like, oh, this guy wants to change the definition of the N-word. Keep dreaming, man. How you gonna do that? Words don't change, but they do. What are you talking about? Context. But there's no arguing with the gossip circle. And Pre-Med 2 was very effective at mocking me. And I felt like it was unfair. And that's where I aided in my own destruction. Because I felt like what had happened to me for a good period of time since the name changes was so unfair that I felt like my reputation had accomplished itself in becoming the N-word. I felt as unpopular as this word. And so I fought against it. And I went out there and did interviews on the street like a preacher, telling people that I don't know, that I'll never meet again, come on, be proud to be a nigger with me. Insanity. But it's predictable insanity. Because when you get into situations where you're misunderstood, you get tense and stressed out. I know that ideally the person that misunderstands you should be the one that bears the brunt of the burden, but that is ascientific. That is not the case of what happens. There was one guy in jail that had totally accepted his place in jail, and I was like not accepting it because again I felt innocent, so I got tense. But this guy said, well, I paid for my room here. I did what I did, and I came here. It's my fault. So he took responsibility for being in jail. And now I knew it was my fault because I was deluded and just went wild with that delusion and followed it far too distant place from a abiding citizen's life. You know, I was yelling at strangers and just totally misbehaving. But I was deluded. But what was unfair was the police report. It's not that I was in jail. It was that they decided that they had to lie about what happened in order to justify to the district attorney their criminal complaint. And when I read that, I all of my delusions were confirmed. They are out to get me. There's things that they're going to do to hurt me in here in this jail so that I'd be in solitary and I'd like be hiding under the bed in solitary lest somebody sniper me. So it's insanity. And because insanity is not very far from actual sanitation, when you start doing things that don't make sense, pretty quickly you neglect your body and you become less healthy. And so coming out of jail, going in I was okay, but coming out I was disabled. And that's pseudo true. Going in I wasn't totally okay. I've had MS for decades, but it was compounded by going in there. I wasn't ever paralyzed before going to the jail, and I had control over my urine, my bladder, and that kind of thing. But coming out, I had no control over anything, and I meant like no control, not like in the sense of whatever. What's my point? If you are misunderstood, and there are plenty of me out there, there are people that are not understood. Their message, their aim might be true, but their social surroundings put them at odds. Don't engage with your gossip circle. Don't engage with them. They're not going to treat you fairly. And if you're innocent and you're being punished, take it easy. The punishment will pass. And when it does, your situation will depend in part on how cool you've been through that stress. And your situation will be much better if you're able to calm down, sleep soundly, relax, go about your exercises and healthy diet. It can be unfair, but unfairness does pass. And so these are truisms, like nobody learns anything from adversity. I mean, I guess people do, but I'm just telling you what I think I know. And I hope that nobody else, especially if you're listening to this, becomes an agent of their own destruction. I hope that you can see farther than that and you won't end up with a broken home, a broken family, and a daughter with intellicide who's deeply autistic, but also clearly just not a product of a happy family and home life. If you can avoid that, avoid it. I'm jealous of you and I hope you wish you the best. Make room for nigger in that happiness because it will bring you joy. There's many ways to find joy and fun with that stupid old word. Really is possible. Wish I could have done it. Take care. I took it way too seriously. I'll talk to you later. Have a good day. Goodbye.